Hello, my name is Mark Gale with the Athens State University Help Desk. This video and others are included in our knowledge base. The knowledge base is one of the best places to start if you have a question. It's the place to find most of the answers to the common questions that are asked. And if an answer is not there, let us know and we'll go ahead and add it. You can find the link at http://www.athens.edu/helpdesk. Now, let's get into the details of this video. Purchase orders or POs are required prior to most purchases using Athens State University resources. The purchase order process must be completed prior to actually ordering the materials or service from the vendor. Following the purchase order process will help to ensure your items are delivered to you and that the vendor has received payment. The first question that comes to mind regarding purchase orders is, when are purchase orders required? In general, any purchase above $100 should go through the purchase order process prior to actually purchasing the item or service. Materials that are under $100 can be reimbursed through petty cash upon approval. Next, all out-of-state travel requires a purchase order regardless of the cost. If you are visiting a school in Tennessee for a meeting and only need $50 worth of meals and gas reimbursement, that still requires a purchase order. Lastly, if you are in charge of any student groups or organizations, those entities must still follow the same rules regarding purchase orders. The purchase order process is pretty straightforward. First, when you determine a need that needs to be met by ordering something, you will need to research the estimated cost of those goods and services. This can be done by doing the research yourself or getting the vendor or vendors to send you a price quote. If you are ordering technology such as computers or software, you can email the help desk at helpdesk@athens.edu requesting a quote, and we will work with you to get one to attach with your PO request. Once you have an estimated cost, you fill out the Request for Purchase Order, or RPO, form and get it approved by the appropriate parties listed on the document. Once the form is filled out, submit it to Financial Affairs. Within 3 days, Financial Affairs will email you with your PO number. At that point, you may complete the purchase using your PO number. Once the purchase is complete and an invoice is received, you notify the business office and they will pay the vendor. When filling out the RPO form, keep in mind that the RPO estimates the total cost if you do not have an exact quote. When estimating the cost, please be sure to overstate the actual cost rather than underestimate it. Begin by filling out the date, company, and company address in the top fields of the form. Remember that Athens State University can only purchase items from vendors that appear in our active vendor list. If you are not sure whether or not a vendor is an active vendor, you can go to www.athens.edu/financial-affairs/employee-resources to see if they are active. If they are not, you'll need to go through the steps to get them into the active vendor status before completing your purchase. Those steps can be found in another help desk article. Assuming that the vendor is an active vendor, proceed to entering the quantity, description, and unit price of the items you need to purchase. Remember that this is an estimate. When filling out the form, the total column will automatically total. Finally, fill in the department to which the product should be charged and the name and email address of the individual responsible for the purchase. The PO number will be sent to the individual listed in this field. Again, within 3 days, the person specified on the RPO form should be notified via email that the PO has been processed, and they should be given a PO number at that time. At this point, they can place the order. When the purchase is shipped to Athens State University, it will first be delivered to our receiving department so that they can check it for accuracy and document it in our receiving system. After this, the purchase will be delivered either to your office or to the receiving area in your building. If you pick up the order from a vendor, or if the purchase is not an item that is physically delivered to campus, it is your responsibility to report the items to receiving. This process ensures that the products are ready to be paid. Now, there are certain situations where you may wonder whether or not you need a PO. Each of these situations listed here do require a purchase order. If you are on a search committee and you are going to try and cover some expenses, you must complete a PO that estimates those expenses. These may include travel or lunch or something similar. The maximum allotment per candidate is $750. When filling out the PO, put candidate expense under the vendor name. If you have any questions about the specifics of what can be paid for and what can't when on a search committee, please contact Financial Affairs for clarification before completing the PO. Another scenario that comes up often is organizational memberships. You must have a PO whether joining a new organization or renewing a membership. For new memberships, the PO must be filled out and completed before agreeing to join the organization. If you are renewing an annual membership, it is your responsibility to make sure a PO has been filled out and processed prior to the date of the renewal. Lastly, in a situation where you are paying for labor, you must still fill out a PO. However, special rules apply to labor contracts. When attempting to pay for labor, contact the Financial Affairs Office to obtain a specific contract for these situations. This contract must be filled out and attached to the PO upon initial submission to the business office. So overall, the key to the purchase order process is to receive permission and complete the purchase order process before agreeing to spend money, unless it is a purchase under $100 or in-state travel. Everything else needs a purchase order. When completing the purchase order, it is okay to send a quote attached with the purchase order, but never send an invoice with the request. An invoice demonstrates you have already agreed to pay for something without first getting the purchase order number. A quote is okay, an invoice is not. Lastly, never send an invoice to Financial Affairs without a PO number unless you have been given specific permission. Again, the PO process must be completed and you must receive a PO number before getting the invoice or agreeing to a purchase. So that finishes up the details of this video, but be sure to check out our other help videos and tips by visiting our knowledge base at http://www.athens.edu/helpdesk. If you have any questions about this video or anything else, please feel free to contact us. Contact information and tips on how to get your questions and problems resolved faster can be found on our website.